Knowing how to do something for yourself gives kids a great sense of self-worth. It increases their confidence in undescribable ways. Why? Just because they can learn it when they're older. Why would we steal that opportunity from our kids to build their confidence because they feel competent in doing real, authentic tasks? Okay. When my daughter, Leah, cooks, you can see the confidence in her. You can see the confidence spilling over into other areas of her life. As a kids cooking teacher since 2016 and the founder of the Life Skills Now summer camp, I have heard it all. I've heard all the moms say what I call the mom refrain. It's quicker and easier to do it myself. It's quicker and easier to do it myself, right? Like millions of people say that and feel it. I feel it. It's true, actually. It is quicker and easier to do it yourself when it comes to teaching skills like cooking and chores, cleaning that bathroom, organizing your bedroom, right? Remembering when to do something in a calendar. It is today quicker and easier to do it ourselves. But for the long term, which is, actually how I want to parent, I would like to raise adults. I would like to raise children who will turn into lovely, responsible, independent, healthy adults, not just kids who are like behaving today or a house that looks great today. It's all about the long term for me, even though that is harder, even though that's harder. I have heard it all. Yes, all the parents say it's quicker and easier to do it myself. And that's true. But there are many, many myths and arguments and problematic people who sometimes aren't using their common sense and sometimes are speaking from a place of frustration or hurt or overwhelm, and we need some excuses. So for both the trolls on social media, those keyboard warriors who are trying to cause problems, and the parents who are just feeling a little stuck, I'm going to share 5 arguments against teaching chores and life skills to kids and my counter arguments. So the first one, and this is the social media trolls. I don't think like truly well-meaning parents think this, but maybe. I've had people say to me, basically, Katie, you're making your kids into slaves. Like they're just worker bees to you if you think you're going to teach them chores and then have them do your work for you. You are just lazy. Use that word, lazy. I'm like, what? Okay, counter argument. No way. It's actually much harder in the moment, and even in the short term, multiple moments, it is much harder to teach a child to do a chore, whether that's washing dishes, cleaning the toilet, or putting their stuffed animals away. Much harder to do that than to do it ourselves. Like literally, I could pick up a stuffed animal, I could set it in the bin. Or I could tell my 8-year-old to do it and watch him as he walks backward and sideways and does a little kick line and picks up his stuffy and hugs it. Like one task, one stuffed animal, watching him put it away takes longer than me just doing it, right? It is 100% harder to teach them to do it themselves, but it is for their own good. In the long run, we are not being lazy parents, and we are not just looking for, our children to push our chores off on. That is ridiculous. Yes, I do say that I prefer to share responsibility in the household, but it's shared. I always want to make sure that my kids also see me doing work, and they certainly know that I am not lazy. For example, my oldest son, Paul, he's 17. He's a senior. He is almost out of this house, feeling all the feels about that. I mean, actually, he might take a gap year, so he might stay in this house, which will be a whole new phase of parenting, by the way. Teaching him to use a calendar, I kid you not, teaching him to use a calendar well, like as he was, kind of getting his own schedule and entering into high school, you know what I mean? Like needing to remember that Monday night is garbage night, for example. Teaching him to use that calendar was like using a machete to crash through the thickest jungle forest in the highest humidity with all the bugs and mosquitoes for like 3 years. It just felt like we were never going to get out of this dense forest. Like again, like a ball has been dropped. Again, we have to remind him to put the thing in the calendar so that we all know it's happening. Like really, really difficult. And suddenly, we come to a clearing. He's a senior. His calendar is more packed than ever before, and he's really, really good. really good at remembering things, putting them in the calendar, getting to places on time. It is like a miracle. And it is so worth it, because imagine if he had graduated high school without learning that skill, went off to college. Like, imagine all the things he would miss if his parents hadn't been crashing through the jungle trying to help him out, right? If we had been doing it for him until he left for school. No, that would have been a huge problem, and worse for everyone in the long run, and actually harder for him in the long run. So I would rather me do the hard work by teaching them to do the hard things when they're under my roof, and I can help them as they make those mistakes. I just heard a great story from one of our awesome camp leaders from last year's Life Skills Now summer camp. Katie Wells taught kids how to clean up their bedrooms in 5 minutes a day. And she had one of the members of her own community had her son, who was like 8 or 10, I think, watch this workshop, learn how to clean his room. And she said, she like wrote to Katie Wells. She said, I have been teaching and not teaching, sorry. I've been telling my kids to clean their rooms for years. And I never even realized that I didn't give them a plan. I didn't give them a process. I didn't actually teach them how to do it. I just tossed them to the wolves. Like, I just said, go clean your room. So of course they don't know what they're doing. Of course I'm not happy with the results. They learned, this little boy learned from Katie Wells, the decluttering expert at Maximize Minimalist, how to clean his room, how to do it well, and how to do a 5-minute daily reset. And this mom said for 30 days, he has been keeping his room in a nice, neat order. And mom was amazed. Again, you got to teach the skill, and then the children can do it themselves. I had this similar experience just this past weekend. We were doing family chores, and my 8-year-old son, for some reason, he thinks cleaning the toilets is the coolest thing. I think it's because the big kids don't do it. That's like the one thing I said, oh, guys, like, mom can do this, for now. So he signed up on our little checklist to clean all 3 toilets. And he said, Mom, I think I'll still need your help. I said, yeah, probably. It's because I had taught him like once or twice, right? Which again, doubled or tripled the time it would have taken me to do it myself for sure. So what we did this time was kind of a doing with. So I didn't touch, I didn't help with my hands. I just reminded him of what to do. And I asked him questions, right? What's next? And hey, buddy, if you squirt really close, with the cleaner, if you squirt really close to the toilet, it's kind of making puddles. If you get farther away, it spreads it out, just giving him tips. And it was so lovely. So he cleaned the toilets, took twice as long as I would have. But at the same time, I was then doing counters and sinks. And I think in one bathroom, he took a little longer. I was doing the floor too. And I thought that was beautiful. And we were chit-chatting. We were having a good time. Nobody was complaining about doing their chores. That was a big thing in my house. Yes, my kids still complain about doing their chores. But ultimately, it was a very positive result. Everything got clean in all 3 bathrooms. And we had a really good bonding time. So, argument, you're making your kids into slaves and being lazy, justifiably false. Throw that one out the window. Argument number 2 is people have said this to me on social media. Yeah, but it's like not that hard to learn how to clean a toilet or do laundry once you're an adult. It took me like 10 minutes to learn to do laundry. Okay, first of all, in my counter argument, there are so many ways to screw up doing laundry. There's no way you can learn to do it well in 10 minutes. So that's just me like being a little bit sassy. Here's the thing. If it's not that hard to learn when you're an adult, it's also not that hard to learn when you're a child. And there is an added benefit beyond just knowing the procedural points of doing a skill. Knowing how to do something for yourself gives kids a great sense of self-worth. It increases their confidence in undescribable ways. Why? Just because they can learn it when they're older. Why would we steal that opportunity from our kids to build their confidence because they feel competent in doing real, authentic tasks? Okay. When my daughter, Leah, cooks, you can see the confidence in her. You can see the confidence spilling over into other areas of her life. And one of the phrases that my kids often say when it comes to cooking, packing lunches, lots of the things that we do that we know are a little bit out of the mainstream, we know are a little bit beyond sort of the norm. It's a little bit above expectation. They often say, all ages of my kids, especially when they're younger, they'll say, I bet other kids in my class can't do this, right? I bet other kids in my class don't know how to make homemade dressing. I bet other kids in my class, aren't allowed to cross the road by themselves or whatever it may be. I love raising the bar, and they feel it. They feel and they speak and express that confidence boost. It's so, so good. So sure, fine. Maybe it's not that hard to learn to clean a toilet. But again, why would we steal the opportunity to boost our kids' confidence in doing tasks that really matter? Argument number 3, now those are kind of the first two were kind of my internet trolls. Argument number 3 comes from a lot of well-meaning parents and a lot of well-meaning adults. And I see there's a lot of truth in it. This argument is that kids just need to play, Katie. Kids just need to play. They need to have their free time. They just need to play. We don't need to like teach our kids these boring things. They'll have plenty of time to do that when they're adults. And you know what? The counterpoint is yes, kids do need to play. But I'm going to take out the word just. It's not that kids just need to play. It's honestly that kids need balance. Yes, kids need to play. Yes, kids need chores and responsibility. Yes, kids need some structure in their lives and some boundaries. Okay? If we think about just playing, there's a lot of learning that is done when kids play. And if you watch little kids play, they actually will play at work. Play at their work, right? They will make work into play. They'll make chores into play. They can enjoy doing, chore type tasks, and they will play as if they are working because they're mimicking what they see in us. And so, a lot of times through that play, kids find things that they enjoy. And so when we think about the end of childhood, so sad, all the feels. When we think about the end of childhood, 18 or so, at some point, you kind of got to know what you're going to do with your life. You kind of got to know what path you want to take as far as a career or not a career, right? A stay-at-home parent or whatever. You got to figure that out. And starting at age 18 is really kind of sketchy and really kind of scary. There's so many kids that are leaving high school having no clue what they want to do when they grow up. And that's okay. But what if we could give kids opportunities to find things that they are passionate about because they've had all sorts of different experiences, in practical life skills, things that adults do. For example, in Life Skills Now Season 1, Pat Flynn did a great workshop on being a good podcaster. He basically taught kids the skill of interviewing well. And the kids were supposed to go off and take about 5 minutes and just find someone they knew, their grandma or their parent or their neighbor, and interview them for 5 minutes and record it on a phone. Super simple. And I remember one mom writing in and saying, gosh, I never would have expected this. We did not see this coming. But my kid, who again was like 8 or 10, my kid is really quite skilled and he seems to love it. He blossoms. He opens up. Like he is like exuberant when he's like doing these little interviews. Oh my goodness. Who knows? Who knows if that kid will become a podcaster or a TV anchor or, something where he gets to interview people. But what an amazing little talent and little gift to figure out at age 8 that he actually loves interviewing people, and he can develop that skill, not as work, not as a taskmaster, but, in his play and in his being a kid. Right? We had a workshop on kids, how to make your first dollar. And so many kids were so proud of themselves. They walked a dog, or they had a lemonade stand, or they sold something that they had made, or an old toy they didn't need on Facebook Marketplace. They made their first dollar, and that confidence went through the roof. They were so excited. How good does that feel? And again, it's a mindset thing. You're opening up their minds to the fact that you can make money in ways other than, punching a time card and getting a paycheck. How great is that to build at a very young age? This year, we have another set of workshops that could end up being a child's career. Think about woodworking. Annika Gandhi is back teaching how to make a simple tic-tac-toe board. Oh my goodness, how much fun for kids. We've got how to use digital planners for teens. So those kids who are maybe a little bit naturally organized could be, a secretary, an executive assistant. You can make really good money keeping unorganized people organized, and it all starts digitally for sure. We have a 3-part series on AI because, like it or not, AI is here to stay. And if it's not going to take your job, you have got to use it well in your job. We have 4 sewing workshops. This has been a huge request from past campers to teach more sewing. And I tell you what, sewing is one of those skills that's a little bit going out of style. It is hard to find people to take in a dress or alter in a wedding gown or a prom dress. So there's a lot of money to be made, even on the side with sewing skills. We sort of have a plumbing workshop. You'll just have to see what it is. It's not real plumbing. It's more like you can do this in your house without having to call a real plumber. And it's a little bit gross. So I think a lot of the little kids, maybe boys especially, are really going to like that one. As usual, we have a whole entrepreneurship track with workshops about starting businesses for all different ages and a workshop about job shadowing and internships. Man, our goal is just to help kids see where they might go for a career for their life. In past seasons, we've covered things like haircuts, auto and bike maintenance, painting a wall, home electricals, gardening, so much more, all these hands-on skills. Put together, these are skills that my kids would never be exposed to without Life Skills Now. They are skills that I don't have, so I could not pass them to my kids. Life Skills Now truly opens up kids' worlds. And I hope that your kids, like mine, discover something new that they can be passionate about. Be sure to go to kidscookrealfood.com/season4 to sign up for this year's free camp. So yes, the argument is kids just need to play. Yep, there's a lot of truth there. But let's take out the word just, because the counter argument is kids need to play, but they also need balance and they need structure, responsibility, and the ability, the opportunity to figure out what they love, not just through play. Argument number 4 is one that I heard on a very well-respected podcast, very well-respected expert, best-selling author kind of person. I don't even want to share his name because this is not about throwing someone under the bus. But when I first heard him speak, when I first heard his idea, I was like, yeah, that's right. That's cool. And then I thought about it more. Here's the argument. The argument is, sometimes we parents work too hard. We've got to connect with our kids more. We got to quit focusing on just getting the dishes done and go climb a tree with your kids, right? And I say it, I feel that emotion swelling up in me. Yeah, I'm on that train. I can rally behind that message. Go climb the tree with your kids. And then I continued to ponder. I continued to think about what this podcast guest had said day in and day out. And I would be doing the dishes and thinking about that. And I'd be cleaning the toilet and thinking about that, or sweeping the floor, or making the dinner. I do that like every day, right? 7 times a week. Actually, I don't, because my husband cooks a few times and my daughter cooks once a week. Woohoo! But I was pondering that, and I thought, you know what? As much as that sounds like a rally cry and a banner I want to get behind, the obvious common sense counter argument is you cannot live from that philosophy every day. You can't, because if you always leave the dishes and go climb the tree, at a certain point, the dishes would pile up so high, you would have nothing to eat on. So the only way to actually practically do that all the time would be to use paper plates and hurt the earth and spend all your money on takeout and trash your health. It's not possible. Again, it comes down to balance. It's not possible to always leave the dishes and go climb the tree. So my counter argument is, yes, build that mindset of how do we look for the opportunities where we just really need to go climb the tree, right? Metaphorical tree, whether that's going to jump on the trampoline or going for a bike ride or sitting down with a kid who's having a hard day and just being present to them, or reading a book with a little one, or reading a book with a big one, right? We do need to have that mindset and that philosophy of looking for those opportunities and knowing that we do need to connect with our kids. And sometimes you got to just turn away from the vacuum cleaner or the dust rag or, the meal planning or whatever. But that cannot be reality day in and day out. It's just not practical. So my response is, hey, I teach kids to cook. I have taught my kids to cook so that after dinner stuff, like the falling action of dinner, right? Dishes, putting away leftovers, wiping down the counters, et cetera, et cetera. If there are 6 of us, because I have 4 kids, if there are 6 of us in our family all doing those tasks, the time is then compressed, which opens up more time to go climb the tree, right? Now, if you all do the work together, you can then all go together and climb that metaphorical tree or play that board game. Oh, I played Scrabble Junior last week. After dinner, we ate dinner early enough. We got all those after dinner chores done. Played Scrabble Junior with the kids. I have not played that game, and I'm not even sure how long. It didn't even feel familiar. It was so delightful. It was so delightful. So I did. I climbed the metaphorical tree, but it wasn't because I left the dishes. It was because we teamworked on the dishes. Does that make sense? And I feel that when we teamwork, we recoup that time. We rediscover. We open up new chunks of time that wouldn't be there if only one person or the two grown-ups or whoever are doing all the jobs. Besides that, we know by experience that kids actually love to do things alongside their parents. If you think back, depending on the age of your kids, think back to when they were 2 or 3 or 4, right? Mama, can I help? Daddy, can I do that? They want to be near us and they don't mind doing the things we're doing or attempting, right? Or mimicking the things that we're doing. Why not take that intrinsic motivation and keep it rolling? Keep it rolling, right? We'll have workshops in this year's Life Skills Now Summer Camp Season 2 on folding laundry as a family system for folding laundry, cleaning the bathrooms. It's not me teaching it. Rachel Norman's going to teach that one. Tidy Dad is teaching the family laundry system. Laura Fuentes of Momables is teaching how to pack a lunch for kids, another one of those tasks that can be co-created or passed off to your kids so that they are more independent. And we have plenty of recipes from all new camp leaders who you did not meet last year. It's going to be so fun. I know we've got hard-boiled eggs, we've got salsa, pasta salad bar, we've got a gluten-free donut/cupcake recipe, we've got a 5-minute chocolate mousse. I mean, fun stuff. And meals too. We've got a chicken burrito bowl, I think just came in today. So many good things that we can do alongside our kids, with our kids, and then also have them do it while we are doing something else important, recoup that time, and go climb a tree, right? So that's my counter argument. You can't always leave the dishes. Last one, number 5. Again, very true, very ringing true. Well-intentioned parents and other grown-ups say, you know what, Katie, kids are just too busy. My kids, all the kids, everybody is way too busy with school and with sports or whatever else is in your schedule, right? Theater, dance class, right? My kids' schedules are packed. Academics have to be number 1. They're too busy to learn these chores. They're too busy to do it. And you know what? My counterpoint is that kids are too busy with school and sports. Yeah, exactly. If we're only focusing on the academics and we're overfilling their schedules and kind of stressing them out, what are we teaching them about how we overfill our schedules, right? So maybe we need a little bit less sports. And you know what? The real counterpoint too is that life skills that we can teach them along the way will contribute to their academic success and will contribute to their sports success as well. For example, many life skills build executive functioning, that prefrontal cortex, and that is needed to improve your academic success. Season 4 is very heavy this year on organizing, and organizing definitely uses those executive functioning skills to categorize, to plan ahead, to think, how will I use this later? We have camp leaders teaching organizing both your physical space and your digital files for our teenagers, where a lot of our stuff, a lot of our clutter is actually on our devices now. I love that Tony Ann Mayembe teaches how to take control of your backpack for our elementary kids, so no more lost homework, as well as another camp leader teaches how to declutter all that schoolwork and stuff that piles up, how to do mini edits, how to think about keeping control of your space. We have procrastination busters. This is from Trisha and Luke Gilkerson, who brought us How to Study Smarter, Not Harder 2 years ago. All of these skills are building our kids' brains and for sure contributing to academic success as well. And you know what? When you're academically successful in school and in life, you got to keep track of your finances. Our finances track completely rocks this year. We've got Bob Lotich teaching the one rule that turned a janitor into a millionaire. I'm going to let you watch that workshop to figure out what the rule is. Crystal Payne from Money Saving Mom is teaching the 10-minute budget for teens, really helping teens look at where their money is coming from, what they are spending as a teenager, and then projecting that forward to adulthood. And Brad Nelson, the debt-free dad, is teaching the cost of convenience, how kids can really understand what like hidden fees and expenses for paying for things like DoorDash or convenience foods. I am so pumped about that one because I'm a huge penny pincher. Like I like to watch my budget. And if my kids were really into spending on these convenience things, oh my gosh, I would want them to watch that workshop so much. For our little ones, I took my son Gabe to the bank, and he's going to inspire your kids to be brave and do their own transaction at the bank. I tell you what, Life Skills Now Season 4 has so much too for interpersonal relations, conversational etiquette for our little ones, and texting etiquette for our teens, how to apologize, how to introduce someone to your family, how to disagree without freaking out. That one's for our neurodivergent families, but man, oh mister, it applies to everyone. Communication is becoming a lost art, sadly enough. It's not something that can always be caught. It does sometimes need to be taught. Similarly, our kids are going to have their bodies with them their entire lives. And so we take it really seriously here at Life Skills Now to teach them how to take care of their healthy body, from functional movement to eye health workouts, from understanding macronutrients, both at a little kid level from a pediatrician and at the teen level from an author, college professor, nutritionist, all the way to the importance of hydration and how gut health impacts skin health and acne. Do your teens need that one? They might. We've got some boring stuff like paying bills, taxes, ironing. It's the kind of stuff the parents get really excited about and the kids tolerate. And then because someone else has taught them, they will go iron. They'll go figure out how to pay their bills. And it's bizarre hearing parents say, oh my goodness, my kid just cleaned a bathroom without me asking them. And they were actually kind of pumped about it. This is what Life Skills Now can do. As always, we got tons of food. Let me just wet your whistle, make you drool a little bit with just about a third of the foods your kids might make this summer. Chicken rice soup, an authentic Indian cilantro chutney, rice pudding, some very special, unique tacos from Chef James Berry, grain-free muffins, sourdough pizza, and even ratatouille that our family filmed with a local chef in his gorgeous cafe. If you feel like you're feeling a little pushback, either internally in yourself, from your kids, or from other adults in your life that are saying our kids don't need chores, our kids don't need these soft skills, let's just like focus on the grades. Nope, not going to happen, right? Kids need responsibility. They need connection with their parents, which sometimes means doing what we do. They need to play, but they also need balance. Sometimes we got to leave the dishes and climb the tree, but sometimes we got to do the dishes together to create more space to climb the tree. And we've got to help our kids figure out what to do with their overpacked schedules. Whew. Life Skills Now Season 4, my friends, is absolutely going to be amazing. It may be life-changing for your kids and teens. Go right now to kidscookrealfood.com/season4 and sign up for free camp. This year, it's June 9th to 13th, 2025. Register the whole family at that link. We've got workshops for kids ages 5 to 18. We got 10 workshops for all you parents. Some of those tell you what to do with the kids ages 1 to 4. So literally, there is something for everyone. Now, don't despair. If you happen to be listening to this after June 2025, don't worry. We always offer a couple free workshops at that same link, kidscookrealfood.com/season4. So go and check out what's available to teach your kids and teens these really important, underrepresented life skills. I'm Katie Kimball, and I'm a huge proponent of teaching life skills to kids. And I hope you are on board now that we've dispelled some of these objections to teaching our kids chores. I hope you're on board with helping your kids gain skills now before they reach adulthood. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Healthy Parenting Handbook podcast. I hope your brain feels fed and your heart feels full and that you feel connected, knowing that there are other parents on this journey with you. We're just trying to raise healthy, independent adults. And the next time you think, man, there is no handbook for this job. Now there is the Healthy Parenting Handbook. Look up the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please leave a review, my friends, as that helps other parents who need this information to find us. And of course, subscribe. That's a huge help. You can also look for our shorts as a reel on Instagram at Katie Kimball Kids Cook, or subscribe to the Healthy Parenting Handbook Shorts channel on YouTube. you'll get those bite-sized portions of healthy parenting advice.